My mum thinks it's hilarious that I've ended up talking and writing about food for a living because I was the world's fussiest child. I was a vegetarian from a very early age, but a vegetarian that didn't eat vegetables, that is, unless you can include potatoes, onions and peas, that was it. And now my own two children, who are 6 and 9, are getting their own back on me because they can from time to time be fussy, certainly fussier than I would like. So here we have my top tips for fussy eaters. Tip number 1. Don't give them any snacks. My sister is militant about this. I'm not so good, I waver. But if you don't give them any snacks in between meals, come dinner time, they're absolutely starving, so they're far more likely to eat what you've put on their plate. Next tip, get them involved, get them cooking. And I don't just mean baking things like cakes and biscuits. We know kids like cakes and biscuits. Get them cooking other stuff, get them cooking roast dinners, finding out where food comes from, getting involved, getting their hands dirty. If they understand food a bit more, it won't seem so strange when you present them with something on their plate that perhaps they're not used to every day. And mix it up a bit. Because if your child, for example, isn't keen on pink fish, as we call salmon in our house, my youngest doesn't like salmon, so whenever I give it to her, I do something like a pesto crust on top because she loves pesto and I always serve it with chips. But if I was to give her salmon with, I don't know, boiled potatoes and boiled carrots, things she's not particularly keen on, I know that she'd have no chance of eating it. But fish and chips, it seems like a much more appealing prospect, so mix it up a bit. No pressure. Of course you want your child to have their 5 a day. Of course you want your child to be one of those kids who take out to restaurants and they're like, want to eat everything and people say what a great eater they are. But that doesn't come naturally to most children. So don't pressurise them. But you can try putting the same things on their plate. For example, my kids hate salad, but I still put it on their plate at most meals in the hope that one day they'll go, Mom, amazing lettuce, thanks very much. So just don't pressurise them. The last thing you want is for food to become a battleground. Mix it up. For example, my eldest hated carrots until I gave them to her raw. My youngest hated salmon until I gave it to her in a fish cake. So it's just a question about mixing it up, being patient, seeing what they will like and what they don't like, and working with it. I think with children there's a tendency that if one child really likes something, the other child's gut response is to not like it. And I think that's probably a normal part of growing up and forging your identity. So for example, one of my children loves ice cream, the other hates ice cream. One loves white chocolate, the other hates white chocolate. And I think that's just part of themselves, just trying to work out who they are in the world. And actually, it might be a bit irritating at meal times, but I'm sure they'll grow out of it. Oh, fingers crossed. This might seem obvious, but don't give your child, especially younger children, new foods when they're tired. If you know that breakfast is a good meal of the day for them, or if you know that they're tired at lunchtime and cranky, then give it to them at their evening meal. Just work out times in the day when you think they might be less tired and more open to do new things. And this is going to sound really cheesy, this last one. You know when you see athletes going PMA, positive mental attitude, I think it's quite important. Don't let your child pick up on your food hang-ups, for one. But also, if you say, as Claire does actually, she goes around saying, my children are such good eaters, I think it actually rubs off on them and they think, yeah, I am a good eater, I am adventurous. So that may sound like you're never admitting defeat, so be it. But I think the most important thing is not to let food become a battleground food. It's great, food is delicious, it's sociable, it's a big part of life, and you want your children to enjoy it as much as you do. So what do you think of our emergency roast chicken recipe?
Yummy.
Yummy. It's good enough for me.